So we're going to talk about how to attract, keep, and motivate customers to build lifetime relationships. Just before I do my short 5-minute presentation, I'm just going to introduce LBI. We're a global digital marketing technology agency, and we have strategic, creative, media, and technical expertise, and we're obviously very focused on driving business value. The way we talk about ourselves is we are what's next. So we take our clients on a journey of digital transformation. We're getting the basics right to lead in the market, and you'll see there's a number of clients that we work with there across the globe, including Johnson & Johnson, Etihad, and we're working with Sitecore on their Volvo trucks implementation. My role is Global CRM Director. I'm responsible for building out the CRM proposition across all of our offices and markets. We have 32 offices across 17 countries. We were independent until a couple of months ago, but we've recently been taken over by Publicis Group, which gives us access to that network as well. So into my presentation then. So the idea of the marketing funnel is kind of dead, right? There's this concept of awareness, consideration, purchase, consumption, and loyalty, and kind of funneling a whole load of leads into the top of that funnel, and then slowly less and less and less of them will go down that funnel. Some will purchase, and ultimately a few will become loyal. It's kind of dead now. The framework that consumers go through, though, of being aware and considering the brand and buying a product from the brand and consuming the product and being loyal to the organization is still valid. But this concept of creating big campaigns to drive traffic into the brand and ultimately drive purchase and loyalty is kind of old hat. What we've seen, though, is through these different stages is a real kind of social infusion of the customer relationship. So when you think about the way in which the Google search and algorithm works, it's now very, very heavily influenced by social, by content, by sharing of that content. So at the awareness stage, we're seeing social being infused into the customer life cycle. You think about consideration. I think everybody here has purchased from Amazon at some point. And when you purchase from Amazon, the first thing that you do is you look at the good reviews first. You then look at the bad reviews, and then you make a decision as to whether you're actually going to buy the product. If a product's got a large amount of bad reviews, then you won't even consider it. If a product's got a large amount of good reviews, you're very likely to consider it. So social's impacting on the consideration and purchase phase. And then consumption and loyalty, when you have a great customer experience with a brand, you'll share that, and then that then influences consideration and awareness of other consumers. And so what we're seeing is that social is dramatically influencing purchase decisions. So consumers are asking opinions of other people on social networks about products. They're more likely to purchase something if they see somebody else has recommended it. When they get excited about a new product, they're talking about them on social networks. So really social is having a fundamental impact on the way in which people make decisions about purchase. And so what we've seen is a big shift from the old world where, big campaigns, TV ads, a bit of content on your website and a bit of PR will, drive you some traffic and drive you some interest, to one where very much consumers are controlling the message. So brands are no longer what they say they are. The brands are what consumers say they are. And in that context, customer advocacy is now your biggest sales channel and your biggest opportunity to drive return on investment. So, okay, so that's kind of interesting, I hope. But what does it actually mean for lifetime relationships? When we talk about lifetime relationships, what we're really talking about is loyalty. And really, loyalty is a function of two things. It's satisfaction with the brand and behavior. And so behavior could be advocacy, so conversation around the brand, or it could be purchase and transaction and buying products from the organization. At the bottom left-hand corner, you've got that audience who are not really very loyal. They're not buying from the brand. They're not advocating the brand. They're not satisfied with the brand. The right-hand side, you've got those latent loyals. Those are your audience who are very, very satisfied with the relationship they have with the brand. They really like the product, but that's not translating into behavior. They're not talking about your brand. They're not buying your products. The left-hand side, you've got at the top there, you've got the spurious loyals. So those are perhaps maybe monopoly industries, or maybe your bank. You're loyal to the organization because that's demonstrated through behavior, through your transaction and purchase from the organization, but you're not necessarily satisfied. True loyalty is achieved when you're very satisfied, you're purchasing regularly from the organization, you're conversing about the organization. And those lifetime customers are the brand evangelists. Those are ones that will remain loyal to the organization in spite of offers from competitors. So what drives loyalty? What drives lifetime value? Well, it really consists of three things. So economic, the perceived product value equates to or exceeds the financial cost. So, you know, people don't buy things unless it has a value to them. So it's, you know, it's at a very, very basic level, you need to be providing economic value. The second component is experiential value. So that is, the brand delivers a good customer experience. So good, you know, it's satisfactory, you're happy with the experience across every purchase and across every touch point. But what drives true loyalty is an emotional connection, creating an emotional value. So the brand connects with the heart and creates that really deep affinity. And so when you map those two together, what you see is those kind of traditional points-based loyalty approaches, like, you know, typical points-based loyalty programs or traditional loyalty approaches, really create spurious or latent loyalty, but only providing economic or experiential value. Modern loyalty approaches create true loyalty by delivering that emotional value. And so, how do you attract, keep, and motivate lifetime customer relationships? Really consists of three things. When you're thinking about attraction, it's about maximizing the advocacy opportunity, maximizing the way in which consumers can share and engage socially around your brand. Secondly, it's about creating great customer experiences, not creating satisfactory customer experiences. And thirdly, it's about creating really deep affinity with the organization by creating that emotional value, by being really, really relevant, by surprising and delighting the consumer, providing utility and services over and above what the product delivers itself. I can talk about a few of the examples of that perhaps in a moment. So that's me.
Super.
No problem.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Rick Curtis, Chief Strategy Officer at Amaze. And I'm hoping my slides are here. Do you want me to just wing it? Should I just wing it? Let's do it. What's that?
5 minutes, hours, days.
'Twas ever thus. 'Twas ever thus.
Seconds. So what we heard about what you just said, I found really interesting, and that is, if you have a saturated market and you look at the pyramid, at the Maslow pyramid, I think the deciding factor is now just the top of the pyramid. Because everybody has good products, everybody has good conditions, and everybody has good things. And the emotional relationship is the deciding factor to create true brand loyalty.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, super. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to talk about my take on how to attract, keep, and motivate lifetime customers. What I'm not going to talk about, obviously we've only got 5 minutes, is sort of complicated formulas. I think there was some discussion, if anyone was here this morning, formulas around customer lifetime value, different ways of segmenting customers based on their profitability, their relationship in social spaces, all of these sort of things. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about something which is, for me, far more fundamental, and that is about getting the balance right. And it comes back to something that Tom's just talked about there. And what do I mean about getting the balance right? Last year, that was global ad spend across the piece. 495 billion. Next year, or 2013, that's estimated to be somewhere around 512 billion. At the same time, 54% of enterprise US brands don't have a clear customer experience strategy. I would say in Europe, and there's quite a bit of data out there, that the situation is somewhat worse. 7% provide an excellent customer experience, 7%. You talk to a lot of C-class executives, what are you really focusing on? We're focusing on the customer experience. It's all about the customer experience. Tom just mentioned it then as one of the elements of his pyramid. But to be honest with you, not many brands are actually doing it. They're not delivering it. And if we focus specifically on digital, I don't agree with everything that Forrester do or everything they do in terms of their website reviews particularly. but that's still a pretty poor number. 1% pass Forrester's. Forrester are a big research and consulting agency, if you don't know them. Just 1% pass Forrester's website user experience review. And to draw an analogy, what are we actually doing, or what are a lot of us doing as brands? If we owned a restaurant, it's like having a team of 10 well-paid people, sending them out into the streets around the restaurant, and trying to get people, beckoning people into the restaurant. Come on, come into the, having a big, beautiful sign outside the restaurant, spending a fortune on getting people into the restaurant. And then as soon as I walk through the door, I've got a snotty 16-year-old going, what do you want? That happened a lot in Liverpool, by the way, that was a real. But that is the equivalent of what we're doing as brands. Spend all of our money on eyeballs. Once we've actually got you, we'll look after you okay. You know, we'll do our best. How do you build customer lifetime value? How do you actually build loyalty? To be honest with you, a lot of brands don't try hard enough. So what's the outcome of that is there are lots of talks and conferences about this sort of thing, but we actually talk about loyalty and customer lifetime value a lot more than we actually see it. You know, everyone talks about Apple and Amazon and, you know, great. But if you look at this recent report by Kantar, on average 50% of a brand's loyal users will not be with them the following year. 72% of Coca-Cola drinkers also drink Pepsi. It's about share of wallet and share of voice. In very, very few categories do you actually see true loyalty. It's about getting share of wallet and increasingly share of voice with the social space. So how do you get the balance right? Less eyeballs, less eyeballs. Our focus very, very much at Amaze in the digital realm is how do we deliver the customer experience that this brand stands for, whatever that particular brand is, and more actually focusing on the customer. And what does that actually mean? So I'm not just talking hypothetically. It's about making your customer's experience personal. This is particularly important for the younger generations, millennials, Generation Zers. They expect a personal service, cross-device, cross-channel, cross-platform. Know who I am and communicate with me in a relevant way. They expect it to be intuitive. Actually, when you talk about loyalty and keeping someone in your brand, every time an individual interacts with a brand, they are 4 times likely to come out of that interaction disloyal than loyal. And there's something called the customer effort score, which I'm actually a big believer in. And actually, if you make this too hard for me, whether it's on your website, whether it's a call center, whatever it is, I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna disappear. So make it intuitive, make it easy, make it seamless cross-platform and cross-channel. I'm sure there's been lots of talk about multi-channel today. Not many brands are actually doing it very well for a whole variety of reasons. In fact, very, very few. I think we're still at the start. Make it social, yes, of course, and make it useful. And this goes back to what Tom's just said. Go beyond the product or service that you are providing and actually deliver something of utility, something that actually surprises the customer. If you do that, you'll keep and you'll motivate your customers. And what will they do for you? They will evangelize and they will help you acquire new lifetime customers. This is one of the things, once again, that really annoys me about social media. A lot of, there's all of these discussions, is Facebook an advertising platform? Is Twitter an advertising platform? Social media, effectively, if you go right the way back to Jeff Jarvis and his Dell Hell, what people talk about when they talk about brands in social media is they talk about their experience with that brand. We see this with some of our clients. You know, you take Lexus, you take Toyota. You monitor what's happening in social media. A lot of the time they're talking about, I've just been into a dealership and this wasn't very good, or or it was excellent, it was superb. They're talking about their experience with your brand. And when we look at this strategically, the focus at the moment, everyone's still thinking in the old way. Not, no, I am going to make my customer experience something that means I deserve loyalty. I'm just going to keep on looking for more eyeballs. And just a couple of examples, just very, very small, not big programs, but the sort of things that some brands are doing. Clients of ours, Lexus, who often win the Vehicle Ownership Satisfaction Award, the J.D. Powers, they built their brand in the States on the customer experience. You know, they were the first that if you went along to the dealership, it was like, right, while we're dealing with your car, we're going to take you to the shops, et cetera, et cetera. What are they doing digitally? In Germany, they introduced the first, not just live chat, it's live video chat. They have a special center with highly trained individuals. They can co-browse and take you to the right part of the website. They can deliver documentation to you. It is above and beyond those horrible little live chat things you see in the corner of a website saying, can we help you? And it's automated or it's a machine or whatever. And then just another example, ASICS excel at providing utility beyond the product. They have the My ASICS, you know, they're up against some of the titans like Nike and Adidas, but they do fantastically well at saying, okay, you know how we're going to make people loyal? How we're really tie them in? Is we're not just going to sell them trainers, we're actually going to help them with their running, help them with what they're trying to achieve. And members of My ASICS are far more likely to be retained by ASICS as a brand. So to finish, because I think I'm probably over 5 minutes, I think there's 2 questions to ask of your business. First, do we really provide a differentiated customer experience? Obviously, the focus today is digitally. Are we doing that? Is it personal, intuitive, seamless, social, useful? And the second is, do we strive as one organization to provide a superior customer experience? Silos are a big issue. You know, the number of senior marketers, customer experience professionals I talk to say, we don't really talk to marketing, you know, we'll go for a beer at Christmas. But they're not working as one organization. If you don't work as one organization, you don't have a cross-disciplinary team, you will not deliver a superlative customer experience. So if your answer to those 2 questions, to the first one is eyeballs and to the second one is beers, then you're not going to get too much lifetime value. You've really got to spin those 2 round. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Aidan Prendergast. I work for the Football Association. I'm sure the slides will come up fairly shortly. And it's fantastic being in this great stadium, the sort of other great stadium in London, if you like, after where we're working. And many of you will have played football, hopefully. Some of you might be coaches. And what I'm hoping is that you'll probably relate to some of this in terms of the sort of traditional lifetime view of customers, if you like, from the FA. So you know, boys will have played football very frequently at school or at a club. They'll have been taken to some matches with their dad. They'll go on, hopefully continue to play sort of Sunday league, something like that. And then over time, get a bit older, get a bit slower, sort of maybe have children of their own. And then, you know, they'll move into coaching, they'll do the level 1 coach, or they'll become a referee. And these guys have supported the game over tens of years, and they'll go on and they'll start running a club, and then they'll run the league. And that's really how it's been for a long time. It's kind of organic, it's natural, and it hasn't really changed very much. And that's really where our websites were, and where our web proposition was as well. Even pretty recently, even sort of 2 or 3 years ago. But the challenge, as we know, is that time is more precious now. People don't have the time to spend hours filling in paper forms and doing paper administration. So volunteers' time is really precious. And the previous model kind of relied on people spending quite a lot of time. There's obviously alternatives. I mean, there's fantastic digital stuff going on here today. You know, you might fly off to EasyJet with holidays. You know, you can eat at Wagamama's. There's fantastic alternatives, digital alternatives, and, you know, other sports, obviously, as well. And then the final thing is, you know, 11-a-side, large pitches was fine a few years ago. But is that lively enough? Is it engaging enough for people going forwards? So football needs to be responsive as well to lifetime change and the fact that things are changing. And really we're taking the approach of encouraging football for everyone. So it's not just keeping people, although that's important, but also encouraging new people into the game. One part of this is working with partners, and we've got some fantastic partners who we work with across the country, developing better players and better coaches. And our partner sort of activations work really well in this. And, you know, 3 million kids have been through Tesco Skills, for example. So that's a sort of new approach of engaging people. Women's Super League. So some of you might recognize Steph Houghton, seemed appropriate given where we were, from the Olympics. Women's Super League has just started season 3, and we're really looking to grow the women's game as well. So we mentioned Tesco Skills. 40% of the kids in Tesco Skills are girls, and traditionally we haven't represented that segment of football over time. And that's very much what we're looking to grow at the moment, is grow additional sort of base of people who are interested in enthusiasm and bring something sort of new into football as well. And this is a really small goal, but what we're looking to do with kids, and from this season, and I think mandatory sort of going forwards, kids are going to be playing 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 9-a-side football. It's going to be, and they get more time on the ball, and therefore it's more fun for them as well. So a complete change from 11-a-side, where the big kids would sort of run off down the pitch for the ball and everyone would just stand around sort of watching them. So kind of football's great fun. People are very passionate about it. Very easy game. You just need a ball. So really our role, I think, is more around reducing barriers to that motivation. Really supporting the game, making it accessible, making it kind of easy for people. That's very much what we want from a digital perspective as well, and really where we've been going. We've got a big push on putting customers first, and in order for those services to be accessible for people, to find out about what we're doing for kids football, for Tesco Skills, the fact that you can have a knockabout even if you're not playing football anymore, but you just want to play and have a kick around at the weekend, you can do that now, but we need those services to be accessible. So what we're looking for on the website is to be incredibly clear and really hone things down so it's incredibly clear what we're doing. What we've also done is consolidated on core components. So we've now got the same components on 50 county FA websites as on the England site, as on the FA Cup site. So that makes it a consistent experience and easy for people to find their way round. And it's easy for people to find their way round, and it's easy for us to look after it going forwards, which means we can focus on more fun stuff, hopefully, going forwards. And obviously, you know, we've had 40% of people on mobile. We have a slightly higher mobile base than a lot of companies because kind of slightly younger audience play football. That's very much where we're going forwards as well. So really, just to wrap up, we're looking to be more inclusive for football as a whole. We want to be accessible in terms of our website, in terms of football in general, and we want to make it easier for people, easier administration and easier to find their way around. That way people can concentrate on what's really important, which is enjoying playing football and having fun. Thank you.